What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, Big Dog Brett. Today we're going to be talking about UGA spring games, so you guys sit tight. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, guys. So this coming up weekend, April 20th, is G-Day, and there's a lot of talk that's kind of going around about it being Easter weekend and how's that going to affect the turnout and the attendance and all this other stuff. I don't really think there's going to be any issue with that. The game's played on a Saturday. The game's played at 2 o'clock. So to me, you know, you're there at 2, you're done by 4 or 5. Really, in my opinion, probably not going to affect Easter a whole lot. I mean, the travel and whatnot, I don't think it's going to affect it a whole lot. Maybe some, but I really don't think much. Most of the people that go to these type of games, they're kind of diehard fans. Now, there's going to be people that show up to the game just because there's nothing else to do on a Saturday. This coming up Saturday, there's no conflict of really any other game. No other spring game on that I know of. The Masters was last weekend. The weather's going to be nice. It's going to be a beautiful day in Athens. It's going to be around 60 degrees. You're going to have a whole bunch of people crammed into the stadium, and 60 degrees on a nice sunshiny day, it's about as perfect as you can get, especially for a spring game. So certainly going to be excited about that. Going to have some other family members with me, so it's going to be a really interesting time. I'm going to try and do a live feed while I'm at the show, or excuse me, while I'm at the game. I'm going to do a live show while I'm at the game. Goodness. Try and give you guys kind of an idea of what's going on out there, the attendance. You know, I'm going to show you guys what you're not going to see on television. You know, they never do a pan all the way around the stadium, and I plan on doing that for you guys just so you can really get a real feel for how many people are at Sanford Stadium. That having been said, there's people saying that they don't think there's going to be that many people that show up. I think it's going to be a packed house. I think you're going to see just as many people show up as maybe last year. I mean, we packed the stadium. No other team this year has really done a good job of packing their stadium. I think Alabama may be the close at like 70 or 80,000. I'm not sure at those numbers. That could be wrong. I'm sure somebody will jump down in the comment section to tell me. But what I do know is if Georgia packs that house, there'll be nobody else that comes in close contention. G-Day, as far as I can remember, has never been played on the Saturday before Easter, and I think that a lot of that has contributed to the fact that Mark Richt was very religious, and I don't think he wanted it interfering with a holiday. So there's that, but I don't think it hurts UGA at all to have it this Saturday. The other benefit is that because we're the only G-Day game, we're the only spring game that's going to be on this Saturday, it's going to give us a lot of visibility for recruits. So you're probably going to see quite a few recruits at this game for that very reason. So that'll be good for UGA. Also, want to kind of talk about the quarterback situation and what we're looking at. Watching some of the other posts, somebody brought up a really great point. This is going to be the first year in several years that we have not had a quarterback controversy. The interesting part about that is that now you can really assess the rest of the team. You're not so focused on what the quarterbacks are doing. Now, if you follow Justin Fields at all, which I have, Justin Fields really had a terrible game in his spring game, and he was supposed to be he's running with the number ones. He had one 98-yard touchdown pass, which was impressive. But when you consider that he only had 4 completions out of 13 passes, and the grand total, including the 98-yard touchdown run, was like 131 yards. That means he had 3 passes for about 40 yards. It's like, you know, not that great out of 13 passes. Now, does that mean that Justin Fields is a terrible quarterback and Justin Fields is not going to be awesome? No, it does not mean that. It's a spring game. It doesn't really mean much of anything. Most of the packages and stuff that you see them running the spring games are very vanilla. They're very basic. It's just to give these guys an opportunity to get out there and push each other around a little bit, show off in front of their fans. kind of gain some, try to gain some moving up and down in the depth chart. Trying grape today. Not bad. But, the moving up and down in the depth chart is really giving these guys an opportunity to go out there and hit hard, see how they react in front of a crowd. Some of these guys have never been in front of a crowd this size. And just kind of see where things go. You put a little pressure on them real world, and you see whether they excel or whether they fall apart. Now, to me, you're going to see Jake Fromm, you're going to see DeJuan Mathis, and you're going to see Stetson Bennett. You're going to see those guys out there at the QB, and you're going to see them swap around. I would imagine that you're going to see Jake Fromm at the number 1 position. If it's not, nobody will be more stunned than probably me and Jake Fromm. Number 2, you're going to see Stetson Bennett running with the number 2s. The reason behind that is because he's supposed to be familiar with our offense, depending on how much James Coley has changed it. Our offensive line, especially on the number 1s, pretty much everybody comes back. I don't even know who we lost that would be a critical factor at this point, given the amount of size, strength, and depth that we have at the offensive line. Guys, if you haven't been following the offensive line, last year they were called the Great Wall of Georgia. That's what they're going to be called this year, except wow, these guys are huge. Most of these guys are 6'3", 6'4", and I think even one of them is 6'7", and they're all 300 plus. I think one guy's 345 pounds, and they're not sloppy. They're big, fast guys. These are athletes, but huge athletes. They're incredibly strong, very quick. I know there's been some focus in the off season and making these guys more resilient as far as being able to move and block better. I think you're going to see an increase, especially with having all the experience they got from last year. As far as the running back situation goes, I think that you're going to see DeAndre Swift as your number 1 running back. In the spring game, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of Zamir White. Keep in mind, he's still recovering from that knee injury. And listening to the things that Kirby has said in the press conferences, I just don't think you're going to see him get in there and have any contact whatsoever. I don't even think you're going to see him play. Might see James Cook in there. There's a whole stable of running backs. I think you're going to see Brian Herrien in there. He's kind of earned his spot, so we'll see what happens with that. On defense, let me finish up with offense. On offense, you've got Nakobe Dean, you've got Azeez Ojulari, you've got I almost said Holloman. Demetrius Robertson. I'm looking for these guys to be breakout players. I'm looking for these guys to be the stars. Now, that having been said, I think that is a strong possibility when you look at last year, the fact that UGA had very few passes downfield for 20-plus yards or more. Anytime that you had to lean on Jake Fromm to win a game, he couldn't do it. We went from, if UGA rushed for 4 or less yards per carry on average, we lost the game. And I mean, it's just the way it went. So if you have to lean on Jake Fromm to win a game, you're in trouble. Now, it doesn't mean I don't like Jake Fromm. I love Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm's done a fantastic job at UGA, but there's room to improve, and especially if we want a national championship. If we want to step onto the stage and show that we can beat Alabama, that we can beat Clemson, that we can beat anybody that they stack us up against, this is part of the game that we have to improve. There's no doubt about it. And I think part of that is Jake Fromm's inability to, I won't say inability, I'll say maybe lack of familiarity with plays that are designed to go 20-plus yards down the field. If you don't practice those plays, if you don't use them in a game, it doesn't work. That things fall apart. So if you don't have a deep threat capability, it allows defenses to squat down and sit down on you and play closer and be more disruptive in the backfield. And that's something that both LSU and Alabama did to us. So that having been said, James Coley has to come in and he has to throw the ball down the field. I think that you're going to see some of that in the spring game. At least I'm really hoping you are. And when you see that type of change made, I think that's going to be representative of what we're going to be able to do moving forward in the year. Now, on defense, a lot of new guys on defense. I think the defense is going to be just fine. Monte Rice is probably one of the best at what he does. Now, even Kirby has said that he wants Richard LeCount III to step up and do more. I was really high on Richard LeCount. I think Richard LeCount should be, I'm not going to say any type of like Jim Thorpe Award winner, but I think that the Butkus Award winner or whatever it is, I don't think he's going to be that, but I think he certainly has an opportunity to solidify himself as a leader on that side of the ball, to get some of these younger guys in the right place. We have a ton of talent. I mean, a scary amount of talent. Here we are, 4 years in. Kirby Smart has, first year was a little shaky, 8-5. Second year, we go to a national championship. Played Alabama to the wire. Last year, we played Alabama really close in the SEC championship. Of course, they got the tar beat out of them against Clemson, but that doesn't mean that, UGA wasn't a contender. I think that, and every year we're adding more talent. So I think we've had a number 1, a number 2, and a number 1 recruiting class, however you want to look at it. We've got 4 and 5 stars stacked 2 and 3 deep, which is beginning to mimic and mirror the way Alabama plays ball. You swap these guys out, there's no drop off, and that's going to be one of the big things that you see throughout the season with Georgia. You're going to see them swap guys in and out. I think we did a really, I won't say poor, but I'll say borderline poor job of rotating players in and out when we should have, to get them the kind of experience they needed, so that when you're playing in these big games, that when you swap out a safety, there's no drop off, or very little. That's not something UGA done very well last year. The only thing that we did really well last year swapping out was a quarterback between Jake Fromm and Justin Fields when we got blowed out. And you can contribute that whole little commentary section right there to Uncle Lou, because he did a fine job of showing you the in and out hokey pokey. My point is this: UGA has a ton of talent. We're going to be at the spring game this year. You're going to see a lot of these guys on the field. How much you're really going to be able to determine from a spring game is very minimal. If you go back to David Green, whenever we won the national championship in 1980, David Green said they had a horrible spring game. Now, that's coming from a legend at UGA. So, moral of the story is don't read too much into the game. Go to the game, enjoy the game, have a great time at the game, watch these guys play. Support the team, support the program, because that's what's going to help bring on the next wave of recruits. I think that every time that we pack that house, we sell that stadium out, when we've got those recruits in the stand, when no other program can really do that. I don't know of any program that's done it yet this year. I think that says a lot about our program and our commitment as fans, our commitment to our team. And I think these young players, they see that, and when they see something like that, it makes them want to be a part of it. It makes them want to be part of something that's up and coming, that's getting better, that's starting to define its own destiny. Georgia's got a lot of room to grow. I don't think there's anybody that has any doubt that sometime in the near future UGA is going to win a national championship. There's so much talent there. One of the things that I'm really hoping will happen is that UGA will be able to develop the talent as well as Dabo Swinney is doing at Clemson. He picks the players he wants for each individual position, and then that's how they build their team. So and Kirby's starting to do that. We're starting to see that he doesn't just go after a player because he's 5-star. 5-star is great, but he looks at that player and says, okay, does that player fit the mold of what I need at this position? And I think that might have been the case with Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields really didn't fit the mold of what we needed. Justin Fields may be the next phenom, maybe, but it didn't fit with what we were doing, and you could almost say that we did him a disservice by having, recruiting him to come to Georgia. But at the end of the day, if you get a player and you can't develop him, let him go somewhere else, and that's what we did. So trying to make sure I cover all the bases here. If you guys, I'll be wearing a UGA jersey. If you guys see me, you guys want to wave at me, talk to me, whatever, great. I look forward to meeting anybody at the game that wants to talk. I doubt I'll meet anybody, but we'll see what happens. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And as always, God bless. Go Dogs.